This week on episode 311 of the StressLess Camping podcast, we talk to Andrew Angel from Camco,
who shares their latest innovative products. The company has been busy with some creative gotta-haves.
We also visit 4 states at one time, and we have a tip to keep your fresh water, well, fresh.
We have this week's podcast along with the stories that go with this episode, the show notes, discounts, deals, helpful tips, and more at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com.
Don't forget to like and share, and thank you for joining us for episode 311.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
And we're 2 RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in a Rockwood Mini Light.
Looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts. I read that whole thing I did the whole thing without having to read it.
Wow, 311 times is the magic number.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
We are coming to you.
Oh, yeah, can they see out?
I don't know.
Let's see.
It might be too bright.
It might be
and now
too bright.
I've set the lighting and you're...
I'm going to change it. Don't worry. Just look. Now we're going to go back.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see out there. We are in a very beautiful campground.
We had really wanted to come to you from outdoors. It's just, we're in a postcard. It's so beautiful here.
So beautiful, but the wind picked up.
It's windy.
It wasn't windy yesterday. We should have just done this when we got here.
Yeah, we said we were gonna and we didn't gonna.
But we didn't, and so it's too windy to be outside today. I mean, it's not too windy to be outside.
Anyway.
It's too windy to record, but we are really in a beautiful, beautiful campground that we'll talk about later. But yesterday, we drove through southern Utah. Oh my goodness.
There will be pictures. If you're watching this on video, we'll drop a few in. And if you're not, we'll put some on the show notes.
On the show notes.
On the website. It's stunning.
Yeah.
And there are boondocking spots. And oh my gosh, it's just...
So we unfortunately just skirted Bears Ears National Monument.
Bears Ears?
Right? Yeah, we got all the Bears Ears. And Natural Bridges National Monuments. But we weren't able to stop. You know, we had a destination, which is always the thing that happens to us. And so we have already vowed to, did you want to leave home a week earlier? Don't be blaming me. You know, we've got to get somewhere, and we had to be somewhere for something else.
Yeah, we're going to teach classes and ride trains.
So we have already figured that we are going to come, spend a couple of weeks in southern Utah, I think, because I'm sure everybody already knows that I think they call it the Big Five, like the national parks. We didn't get to see those 2 national monuments. We saw the turnoffs for them. We did get to drive through the skinny part of Capitol Reef, but, drive through. We didn't get to stop and look at things. And there's just so much beauty here that I really think that we need to give southern Utah a fair shake.
And it's not even that far from where we store our stuff. So
yeah, it's really not. We did drive yesterday for about 3 hours with... not seeing a single thing but nature, maybe like a dozen other cars, no cell signal. I took tons of pictures through dirty windshield, sorry. But it was just incredible beauty on every part of the road. There is some pretty good up and down hills.
Yes, I did a video a while back of how to drive in the mountains. And boy, we used all those tips and tricks. You use your transmission so you're not riding your brakes. And there were, I think, 8% grades. The other thing there is, when you sort of go into this area, there's a sign that says, no services for 127 miles. Mm-hmm. Believe it.
Yeah, believe it.
Because...
not only no services, no cell service, neither one of us. And we have... both Verizon, well, we have T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, and none of them had signals.
No. It was kind of nice.
It was kind of lovely to just enjoy the scenery. But if there had been an emergency, I guess we would have had to stop and put the Starlink antenna out so we could get some kind of a signal. I'm sure that would have worked. There were giant skies. Anyway, it was just absolutely beautiful, and it is definitely on our list of places to come back and spend a decent amount of time, not 3 hours.
Yeah. Part of what we've been doing on this trip is a lot of boondocking. We left New Mexico and we stayed at a winery that was also just beautiful. In fact, well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
And then last night we stayed at a dinosaur museum. No, the night before we stayed at a dinosaur museum. And in both cases, it was all off-grid camping, right? We're using all the facilities of our RV, including our power system from ABC Upfitters.
Right, and we gave that a really good test by running the air conditioner just for a couple hours, just to kind of cool things down a little bit while we were when we were at the winery, it was shady and cooled down beautifully. Nice. When we got to the dinosaur museum, that was in Blanding, Utah, it was hot.
And we were on asphalt.
We were on asphalt.
Lot.
We didn't have trees over us. And so we did test out the inverter and the battery and the air conditioner and ran the air conditioner for a couple of hours so that we could actually sleep.
Yeah, and once again, worked flawlessly.
Yep.
Running the fridge, running the air conditioner, all of those things. And it's such a good system, and it really has opened up where we can camp. So, for example, when we're at home, we don't shut off the refrigerator. It's a 12-volt fridge.
Right.
We just leave it running because solar and lithium will keep it running. When we're on the road, we don't think about, we can't boondock because we may be low on power or whatever. No, it's not a consideration. It's just a really trustworthy, reliable system. And if that's the kind of reliable solar and lithium solution that really will make you a stressless camper, give ABC Upfitters a call at 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225, or use the link in our show notes or this QR code to find a page on StressLess Camping about ABC Upfitters.
Yep. Sometimes in these podcasts we have a gadget report, but this time it is a gadget report because we got to talk with Andrew Angel from Camco, and he shared some of the new stuff that they have come out with. Something I like about Camco, a lot of what they make is made here in the US.
Right.
And they really seem to hit what we RVers need and cool stuff that we want. So without any further ado,
how about Andrew?
We have a very special guest with us today, Andrew Angel, who is the Senior Vice President of Product Development at Camco. And of course, a lot of times we introduce companies or products or things, and we give an explanation. If you're an RVer, you know
Camco.
But what you may not know is that they're always working to come up with new stuff, and that's what we wanted to talk about. So Andrew, welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll get to this in a bit, but Camco has an item a new product that is so popular, it's become on
like some kind of a scavenger hunt or
it's
something.
It's people get one and they're like, oh my gosh, I got one.
Yeah.
And it solves such a problem, and
we'll talk about
thing.
that. Yeah.
But first of all, let's talk Rhino.
Let's talk Rhino. Some of the Camco products, I guess a Camco line, if that's the right way to say it, is the Rhino products. And is that all sewer items, or is Rhino other lines of things? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so the Rhino line for Camco is a sanitation product category for us. So it doesn't cover all of our sanitation products, but it is our hero brand for our premium offerings within our sanitation category.
One of the first things I believe, very recently came out with is the Rhino RV Sewer Extender Pro, which is a clear attachment that you put on your bayonet fitting on your gate valve, but it's got a light in it.
So we're really excited about that product. The clear fitting is not new to the RV sanitation area. But what we did was address some of the issues that you have. We put a handle on it for some of those tighter fittings, and those fittings are tight to ensure the seal that we all want in our sanitation draining experiences. So it's easier to handle, easier to articulate. And also we found, the clear sewer hose or fitting serves a purpose. It's a visual to let you know the status of your tank and as you dump and clean it. You don't always have the luxury of getting to decide when you need to drop your gate valves or run a hose or drain your tanks, and sometimes they're under a slide out, it's low light situation. So adding that light functionality in the handle to an existing product really just furthers the functionality. It makes an easier experience for the consumer to use in the dumping.
Not to get too in depth with this topic, but we are talking about it. If as you're dumping your tank, what we like to do is use the tank flush as a part of that. And when the thing runs clear, then we know we've done our work. And sometimes that sewer fitting is in the shadows, or it's always, of course, under the RV because of gravity. And so that just, I don't know, you put a light in anything, I'm interested, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it has some flash for sure, but, it's functional. The reason it's clear so you can see, just as you mentioned.
Yep.
Right.
And this helps that.
We also have the clear elbow at the other end of the hose.
Right.
But this is, sometimes it's like what's in the hose and what's coming out of the tank. And I don't know, I think this thing is a neat gadget.
Yeah. You really can't be too sure on both ends, right? So, kind of fully understand where you're at in the process.
I'm not sure if this is Rhino or Rhino adjacent, but you have the ultimate 20-foot sewer hose kit with the built-in stand, and that seems like a really great, helpful innovation for people too.
Sure. It's a continued evolution of the Rhino brand. It is a Rhino branded product. And not only a Rhino branded product, it's a Rhino Flex hose. So our legacy Rhino Flex hose is part of this kit. Our swivel fittings, our elbows. And what's interesting about this kit, and what we wanted to really offer this, is it's a tote that you can carry all your products in. And I know that sounds simple, but it's a purpose-built tote.
Yeah.
As we think about a complete kit and, deploying your sewer hose and the supports that come with it, you have a nice storage bin, but the storage bin also serves as a key component or two key components of the sewer support system that's included inside the kit. So ultimately you end up with a nice tote that is custom designed to fit your sewer hose and your supports and all your fittings. And it also serves a purpose to support the hose as your tallest and your shortest segment for the sewer hose support.
Right.
So really you can just grab the side of the back of your truck, out of your bin, however you store your hoses, completely walk it through, and you're ready to dump.
One of the things I like about this is a common question I see is, where do you store your sewer hose?
Right.
And then you would have like one of those, I call them a centipede, to make the hose descend and all. And this is all one basic plastic box. And when you open up the box, now you have the descent, you have the hose, you have the fittings, and it's all in one place.
Yeah.
Correct. It's all one. And we saw some major trends as you speak to how folks are storing their sewer hoses. We saw a lot of trends towards consumers putting them in bins and wanting that more clean solution, fully captures all the accessories and hoses. And we just built upon that and made it a functional, purpose-built tote and complete kit.
And okay, that box, as it were,
right,
is all my sewer stuff.
You can't get confused and wonder if that's your water hoses instead of your sewer hoses. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Since we're talking about these Rhino hoses, there's a lot of key features that kind of set the Rhino hoses apart. Do you want to share what some of those are? Or the Rhino brand, really?
Yeah, the Rhino brand is our premium sanitation line. And it really started with the Rhino Flex hose. It's a very durable hose. It's constructed from polyolefin. It has a snap-in-place type of performance, which means you can collapse it and it stays, or you can expand it, articulate it around corners, whatever you need. And it brings that ruggedness to the hose and durability. Furthermore, the fittings. We're really proud of the Rhino fittings. They're a legacy item that we continue to evolve and add features and benefits to our line, whether it's the swivel functionality or the clear elbows, or the latest iteration is the drain lock, and continuing to bring those user-friendly and consumer-focused features and benefits to the product line.
And the hoses don't, I think the hose we have now may have come all the way from the 1905, I think.
Perhaps.
The
which
point of
means
that,
we've had it at least 3 years.
We've had one hose for 4 campers.
Yeah.
So the hose has outlasted trailers. So another thing we really like is, I know this is not a new product, but we have these magnetic caps that fit on the end of the bumper. Our trailer has a bumper which is for holding the sewer hose, and we have these neat magnetic caps that keep it in place. And that's another Camco product.
Yep.
Yeah, we have several versions of that, and those have functionality as well. The bayonet fittings to connect the hose, make it easier to pull them out, and just a number of offerings in the Rhino brand.
So on the other end of the system, on the clean end of the system, let's talk a little bit about freshwater items that you have. You have a Taste Pure water filter, and there's I think it's a pre-filter also.
Yeah, so a hero product for us is our Taste Pure water filter. It's activated carbon filter with KDF. So it serves as both a mechanical sediment filter as well as some chemical exchanges to help clean your water. So one of the later products, more recent products we've introduced, is the sediment pre-filter. And the purpose of the pre-filter is really to protect the filter itself from, I'll call it sediment. So you're doing mechanical filtering of sediment within the water to prevent clogging the activated carbon or KDF filter that's downstream.
You also upgraded the Taste Pure filter as well, right? It's been maybe in the past year or two that has also gone, has been improved.
Yeah, so early, I guess last year, we introduced a new and improved Taste Pure KDF filter, where we enhanced the filtration media within the filter and also updated the housing polymers that construct the filter, going towards more standardized materials for construction that are in line with more traditional filter applications.
In addition to the standard filter that I think a lot of us see in the campground, you have also introduced a 3-stage filtration system.
Correct. So the 3-stage system, for filters, it's really about the size of the particles that you're removing from the water. So the 3-stage system is just 3 different phases of micron rating, if you will. So it's just taking out smaller and smaller and smaller particles. So that ranges all the way from sediment to, other types of organisms.
Would it take out small bioorganisms?
This is a careful topic here because there are a multitude of things that can be in the water that can and cannot be removed mechanically or chemically through the media. So yes, it is designed, the 3-stage specifically, to go down to a 0.5 micron rating, which will take out organisms. But there's a long list of those that it will and those that it will not.
Yeah.
That's published information that we can look at the product data, and it covers what those products will take out.
By the way, Peggy's got a master's in groundwater geology, so she knows a little bit about water. So the 3-stage filter basically is an external device. Well, they all are, I guess, where you just get I mean, you had mentioned that it goes down to 0.5 micron. That is a small particle that it's able to eliminate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So are there other water products that we don't commonly think of? You know, I mean, I know the water filter is like, when people say I have a brand new RV, I say get a water filter. That's like that's like my number one answer. But are there other freshwater system items that we should add to that must-have list?
Water pressure regulation is a big thing. So, you want to protect the plumbing inside your RV. So we have a number of offerings in that category as well, varying from preset pressures to adjustable pressures with gauges so you can regulate it yourself at appropriate levels. Quality drinking water hoses are important. As you look across the Camco portfolio of drinking water hoses, NSF certified drinking water hoses for use with RVs are something that we offer that are really important. And like you said, the filters, the majority of the filters, specifically the ones we've discussed today, are, point of entry filters. And they vary from level of micron ratings to what they remove, both mechanically and chemically.
Speaking back to water pressure regulators, I think a lot of people make the assumption that, my RV is plumbed with PEX, and PEX can take a lot of pressure, which is a true statement, but the fittings in RVs are not always the greatest.
Right.
And that's where you really should have a water pressure regulator. And we like the ones best that are adjustable, just because they tend to have a higher flow from my experience. But still, any pressure regulator don't camp without it.
We've been to campgrounds that have on the desk as we check in exploded water hoses, like the outside, just fresh out of the spigot, exploded before they could even get to the camper because their water pressure was so high. And there are campgrounds like that. So it's not worth the risk of blowing out your whole plumbing system.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know a lot of what you make is made here.
They are, specifically, in the water category, our water hoses are made in our Greensboro facility. So we have an NSF certified facility. We compound our own resins for these hoses. They're made in North Carolina. Water filters, proudly made in North Carolina as well. So we do gear a lot of our freshwater manufacturing to be controlled in-house.
That's something I've always liked about Camco, is a lot of what you have is made right here in the U.S. And that's nice to employ fellow Americans.
Mm-hmm. And the same's true for our Rhinos too. Those items manufactured right here in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Another topic I see a lot is people say, well, how do I level my camper?
Yeah.
And one of the things, you have developed sort of a whole system with the Fasten system. I know the new big blocks actually work with the leveling blocks and with RV jacks. Can you tell us a little about that? Because I know there's some new items in that department.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about the Fasten line. The Fasten, we started with the leveling blocks. The big block has been a successful product for us as well. And we've really learned from that, interfacing the two products for multiple applications has significant benefit. And we've continued down that path, expanding that product lineup with most recently the Fasten leveling ramps. We're excited about those leveling ramps. If you're familiar with leveling blocks, you have a stack of 10, maybe 2 of them. You organize them in a pyramid, you drive your RV on it, it levels it, and does a great job, and it's a very modular setup that allows a lot of versatility. The leveling ramps just expand on that and make that experience a little easier, I think. They can be used in conjunction with the blocks, or they can be used in place of the blocks. And examples of where you might use both are as if you need, a full range of elevation to level versus, some lesser amount that only the ramp can provide. Now, the ramp itself has some utility in the radius tire cradle. It serves to protect your tires during long-term storage. Also, it's important because it serves as a wheel stop and chock. So if you think as you drive up on these ramps, knowing when to stop, where to stop to make sure you're properly supported, properly leveled is important. And then that cradle serves as a wheel stop once you are properly located to prevent the trailer from rolling forward or aft in any situation.
Which is a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's bad when the trailer rolls away.
Yeah.
really the goal.
Especially if it rolls off the ramps, because you just did all that work to get them level and it rolls off. And now not only it's not in the right place, but it's not level anymore. You got to start all over.
Well, that's something I see people ask is, how do you level a trailer? And this is a great way to do it. And the better thing, in my opinion, about using these types of things over an automatic level is they don't break. So, and of course, automatic stuff just breaks at always the worst possible time.
Yeah.
It's blocks. I mean, blocks that are strong enough you could drive an RV on.
Right,
So
yeah.
what's to break?
Yeah. They're durable and they're modular. I think that's the big thing. The versatility that they bring is, it's tough to mimic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the great things about that, if you've got, a lot of people have the, dual axle, like a travel trailer or something. So they've got two of the levels. Well, if you get a flat tire and you need to get one tire up off the ground, a way that some people do that is put the other tire up on the ramp, and the tire that's not touching a ramp is actually up there ready to be changed.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, which is safer to me than jacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And, we have in our leveling and stabilization category, we have several items that are designed specifically for that. So it is a great option.
These fasten, a lot of them have the handle, so they work together both in storage and just at the campground.
That's one of the very simple but key attributes of the Fasten line, the handle. It's an easy means to store and deploy these products. In the past, previous options, you stored them in a bag, the bag got full of dirt, you're picking it up off the ground. It's just an easy, simple solution. It's easy to transport them. You can carry two sets. You can put them in your bin. You can put them in your storage bay. So it's just overall a very simple and productive storage mechanism.
I have to ask, when you come up with something new at Camco, what's the iteration process on these products? Because it's clear you guys go camping.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the biggest things is idea generation, right? And we like for those to come from problems. And when they start with problems, then you develop solutions. And, transferring those problems to solutions and then how viable are they for the community is really the genesis for the product development process. So it is about, consumer focused, solving problems, and making the RV experience easier, more efficient, cleaner, whatever the application may be.
Makes sense. Is there something that we've missed that we should talk about?
Well, you spoke earlier about the elbow, the new drain lock. I think that's an extremely exciting product that
Yeah.
folks have shown some interest in.
We were kind of saving that one for last because that's the one we've all been shopping for and looking for.
Yeah, it's. I know some people who it's like an Easter egg hunt, and that some people is me. For example, there were two according to the local Walmart's website, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finally get one, and I drove there, and they're both gone in the time that I looked at them online and the 20 minutes it took to get there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this is the hottest item I've ever seen in the RV space.
It's been very popular. It surely has. We're really proud of it. It falls in line with a simple solution. The execution is a simple solution as well. In terms of the product execution, I think it's very user friendly, but it addresses a number of issues that campers face with with just the sewer tank draining process. So anything specific about it?
Yeah, I think we should tell people, because some of the people listen, the majority of people listen on audio. So I guess we should describe it.
Yeah.
The product itself, it serves the purpose of connecting your sewer hose to the dump receptacle, whether it's at your campsite or the common receptacle at the campground. And that's a standard interface in the RV community. Traditionally addressed with, a multi-threaded, we call it a 4-in-1, that allows you to thread into the sewer receptacle or, press fit into a pipe that doesn't have threads. And then that connects to the elbow in the case of the Rhino and a lot of other of the Camco brands. It's a clear elbow, as we spoke earlier, to be able to see the status of your drain process. But one of the challenges that can be faced at the campsite, damaged threads, broken threads, and by broken threads I mean the top of the pipe broken off, not a clean, efficient interface between that threaded 4-in-1 adapter and the elbow to dump. Also, you have to manually handle I'm going to call it the dirty end of the appliance to actually install it into the receptacle to be able to connect it to your hose. So those are two main things that this product addresses. One is ease of use and handling. You can walk up to the receptacle, you have a handle on this elbow, you set it down in the hole, you cam it over, it locks into position. You haven't had to touch the business end of the fitting or the business end of the receptacle. So that's really advantage number one. Advantage number two is addressing the interface itself. We're not chasing threads. We're not chasing, are the threads damaged? You're not chasing, does the pipe have threads? It's an expanding plug that adapts between 3.5-inch MPT PVC pipe and 4-inch MPT PVC pipe for a common fit into the majority of receptacles you'll see at a campsite. So you easily have a handle placed in a position, cam it over, you've got a tight seal, regardless of the condition of the receptacle you're interfacing.
It's incredible. Not that I've ever seen one in person, because they're always sold out. But
every town we go to, he's like, well, let's stop at Walmart. And
yeah,
look for one.
I literally have been, since I first caught wind of this thing, I have been just trying to hunt one down. I'll get one, but it's just funny, like how popular this is with RVers. It's just, I mean, it is so addressed a need. And we've had another solution that kind of does this, because part of the function is it prevents the thing from popping out of the ground, because there's that expanding fitting. But there are a lot of times, as you said, the sewer hose or the sewer fitting at the site is broken, or the threads are just gummed up with sand, or there is no screw-on bayonet there, or the thing is flush with the ground, so the grab-oner has nothing to grab on. Well, this solves all of those problems. So if that was your thinking, I hope they gave you a big fat raise.
No, I can't take credit for this. This, from an engineering perspective, the ideation of this was to address the problems faced in the field. And although this has culminated into a simple product offering that's easy to use and very versatile, the actual technical execution of it was quite in depth. So certainly super proud of the team for the engineering solutions that were developed. Everything from the geometry to the manufacturing execution to the material selection. It's a great product. It is great in the community to solve problems, and it is user friendly. Also continues with the innovative spirit of kind of how Camco looks at particularly the legacy brands such as Camco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you have the lighted fitting, the clear fitting on one end, and this fitting on the other, and you've got basically RV sanitation covered end to end, quite literally.
Yeah.
Right. Very much so.
Or you've got water filters and sewer adapters, so you've got in to
Yeah,
end
that's true.
with a different end.
In and out.
A different set of ends.
Absolutely. And, tank treatments in between. So,
You're right.
Stuff we're really proud of in that category as well.
One of the neat things about Camco products is you go to a lot of campgrounds and they're right there.
Right.
So
you can find them in the campground stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at Wally World, but not that
Not that
sewer
one.
adapter
Not yet.
pro yet.
Yeah.
Just because it's so popular.
Yeah, we're working diligently. We have enhanced manufacturing capabilities and capacities, so we are intensely pursuing fulfilling that demand. So
I can only imagine because, like I say, I mean, they show up, someone posts on Facebook or wherever, they're gone. So it's a good problem to have because it just shows how well you've attacked a need that is pretty much universal to RVers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
anything else we should share with the people watching or listening?
Yeah, I'll speak to our tank treatments a bit. Our TST line, that's part of sanitation as well. One of our more recent offerings is our TST Pro line. And, we're really proud of specifically the drop-ins in that product category, really as the industry pioneers in the multi-chamber drop-in pod, where we're really leveraging the capability to have a multi-chamber delivery vehicle for different chemistries that complement each other in the black tank environment, but need to be kept separate prior to deployment. So what that allows us to do is take some enzyme formulations, marry those with some malodor chemical combatants to produce a product that very efficiently and very rapidly breaks down waste, and while also controlling the odors within the holding tank. So that's a product line we're really proud of. We think it really brings performance and sanitation chemicals to a new height in the categories.
Something I've heard, and again, these armchair quarterbacks on the internet, that it's not plastic, whatever the degradable enclosure plastic, for lack of a better description. People go, oh, that doesn't break down, and you get that in the tank. Explain kind of how that works, because it feels like plastic, but you get it wet and it disintegrates.
Yeah, it dissolves, and there's a lot of specifications around that particular film when you think about moisture content actually within the products that you have in it, so they don't dissolve the film on the shelf prior to use. The pods are not new to the world. Camco really adapted them to the multi-chamber to the RV application, but if you think about the drop-ins or the pods that you use in your washing machine or your dishwasher, we're leveraging all that technology from those pioneers in those fields to make sure we have the proper films that, one, adapt to the chemistries that we need to use to provide the best solution in the RV category, while also, you get that dissolving, it doesn't get hung up, there's no residue, there's no leftover. So you ultimately end up with an inert after the product is delivered.
We sure appreciate your being here with us as the season really starts, and also we've had some technical fun, and I appreciate your patience in helping us overcome that.
Yeah, no worries.
Can't wait to see what's coming next and what you have down the line, because what you already have, it just hits a home run with RVers.
Yeah.
Well, great. I appreciate that. We're really excited. We have a primed pipeline of continued support in these categories. I'm excited to continue to roll those out and make it safer and easier.
Sounds good. And of course, if you ever need people to help you test any of these things, we're out there all the time. Well, people have said we're out there in a lot of ways.
We're way out there.
But we're happy to help. But thank you very much, Andrew. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Indeed.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. And I will keep you in mind as we think about product testing and get some objective opinions would be great.
As often happens, we kept talking and talking to Andrew after we hit the stop record button, and the goodbye, the so long, we don't like to say goodbye, but the thanks for coming kind of got lost in the, in the shuffle. So it seems like it ends rather abruptly. The conversation didn't, but unfortunately the recording did, and it sounds awkward to me, so I felt like I had to bring it up.
Hey, by the way, how many of these gadgets do you have and how many do you want?
Yeah.
I know there's one that Rhino sewer put her on her. I want that so bad, and it has sold out everywhere. It's become a meme of people like, oh, I got one at the local Walmart or whatever, and so it's that popular. But anyway,
it's like a meme of mean people, because like, oh, I have one and you don't.
Yeah, some people are like, I bought all of them at Walmart. I'm like, well, you're not nice.
And then Tony finds them for hundreds of dollars on eBay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
not cool, guys.
No. That's capitalism. That's the American way.
Earlier, Tony had mentioned that we stayed at a winery on our first night out on this trip. It was a Harvest Host, and we stayed at the Wines of the San Juan on the recommendation of a whole bunch of our friends.
Yeah.
People who have been recently or been in the past or been several times. And so that was our first night stop. And everybody was right. It was so lovely and beautiful. We got super lucky, I think, that we got to park kind of in the trees instead of in the open. They interestingly, I think they will rent you a campsite if you're not a Harvest Host. They'll, you can pay for a site, but they have a couple of, I think maybe 4 sites that have hookups, and then kind of a field where they can park a whole bunch of people without hookups. And we had opted for that because we didn't need the hookups, but just our timing, I guess, we ended up parking under a tree to check in, and they said, just stay there. Yeah. And we had the perfect combination of sun and shade. So the trailer wasn't too hot, but the solar panels were still getting sun. It was wonderful.
It was ideal.
The wines were terrific.
Yeah, and we even met another RVing couple, which is something that's another neat thing about Harvest Hosts, is you're there with other RVers, and then what are you going to talk about? RVing.
Yeah, so Kai and Crystal and their bird Pooh Bear sat with us and had some wine, and we chatted again in the morning, and it was a beautiful stop. And then our friend Mickey said, hey, we should all go back in October. They have this big bonfire event. And so the 3 couples that all live, in Rio Rancho, that place where we live, in Rio Rancho, all booked that weekend for the bonfire, and we're going to go and make it a group trip. And I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
So the second night we stayed at the Dinosaur Museum in Blanding, Utah. We got there on a Sunday and they're not open, but I had called on Saturday and they said, absolutely, just come, spend the night, and we'll see you in the morning. And so that's what we did. We got there whenever we got there on Sunday. We parked. The weather was pretty nice outside, so we sat outside for a bit, but the trailer had gotten really hot. So we did run the air conditioner for a bit, and in the morning we went in and toured around the museum. It's a really great museum.
It's unusual to me because there's dinosaurs, right? It's the dinosaur museum, duh. But there's also a lot of pop culture, like movie references and things like that.
Yeah, all the dinosaur movies. They have movie posters, and that one, I loved it. It was like a set. A miniature set. And it had like a dinosaur, and then it had like a glass in the front with the jungle painted on it. So when you look through the camera lens, it looked like the dinosaur was in the jungle.
Yeah, it was a stop motion animation. I forgot which film. Maybe it was King Kong.
No.
But anyway, it was stop motion. It was an example of stop motion animation.
Yeah, it was.
Which is pretty cool. And they actually had one of the models there from that film. So that was kind of neat. Showed how it worked and all that.
It was the second movie of some series. I don't know. Anyway, it was really interesting and really fun museum. We got, can you find the little dinosaur hiding among the bears? Anyway,
No,
there's
I
a
can't.
dinosaur in there hiding among the bears.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
There he is.
Oh, wait.
And then we got on the road and came to the campground. But what I was really trying to get at was Harvest Host, right? Beautiful, wonderful, lovely, informative, interesting, entertaining stays that you can find through Harvest Hosts.
Yep. Yeah, and we have a discount for Harvest Hosts. If you're watching, we have a QR code. And if you are listening, you can go on our website. The show notes for this episode, episode 311, will have a link to that discount for Harvest Hosts.
Yep.
So it's really a great service. One of the things is it's really experiential, right? I mean, we got to see the Dinosaur Museum and Wines of the San Juan, and we've stayed at railroad places and breweries and distilleries and just all kinds of places. A lot of times we'll stay with friends, which makes it an even better experience.
Yeah.
So we're big advocates of Harvest Hosts, and if you are not a member yet, we have
have a
an
discount.
opportunity to join for a better price.
Couple things to know about Harvest Hosts, and it's sort of new and changing and growing, but a lot of Harvest hosts now will allow you to stay more than one night, sometimes for a small fee. A lot of them are making hookups available, water and power, also perhaps for a small fee, but that small fee is nothing compared to campground fees these days, right? And you still get the fantastic experiences. Now, you're going to say, well, then why are you in a campground now? Well, because we didn't find places with water hookups.
Well, we need to fill the freshwater tank and dump the other tanks.
Yeah.
So
every once in a while, and we're going to spend the next 3 nights somewhere else that we'll talk about next week, that we won't have hookups. So we're just kind of in between boondocking mode.
Yeah.
So what's Goofy USA?
Well, a place where you can stand in 4 states at one time.
And of course, as always, if you are watching this video, you can watch the other YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this, you just heard it. But if you want to see all the pictures that we took, go on over to YouTube and find our Goofy USA on 4 Corners.
Yeah, and we'll have an article at StressLessCamping.com with pictures and all of that as well. Lots of places to look for our stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, once in a while, we remember to give you some kind of a maintenance tip or reminder. And right now, I am seeing a lot of questions asked about using your fresh tank water for drinking and how to sanitize, and I never drink out of the tap. Just all kinds of stuff goes around. And I'm here to tell you that if you keep your tank fresh, your fresh tank sanitized and in good shape, there's no reason why you can't drink straight out of the tap. Now, some people don't like to drink out of the tap, and that's fine. I am a tap water drinker. I drink it out of the tap unless it tastes terrible to me, which is rare. If you keep your tank sanitized and clean and fresh, then your fresh water out of the tap is perfectly safe to drink.
What prompted all of this is in the news, there was a lady in Texas who used the water in her freshwater holding tank for this nasal rinse thing.
There's a couple things wrong with this. To me, it's not an RV story. The woman used tap water for a nasal rinse that apparently, I've never used one, but 1 million people on social media have said that thing very, very, very distinctly says to use distilled water.
Right. Well, I wrote a story for RV Trader, a news story about it, and the CDC says use distilled water, and she used tank water. And the amoebas that sadly it was a brain-eating amoeba for which there's really not much cure. Those amoebas are not horribly uncommon.
And so drinking that water and getting it into your stomach acids is not gonna necessarily cause those amoeba to get into your brain, but snorting them into your mucous membranes is a whole different method of inhaling or ingesting or bringing in amoebas, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't see this as an RV story. It happened that she used an RV fresh tank. I don't think it had any, personally, I don't think it had anything to do with that. She could have used the freshest, cleanest tap water from the best city's tap water ever, and it still could have happened.
Well, I mean, you think about city water, right? Maybe at the facility it's beautifully clean, but then it goes through pipes, and who knows how old your
Sure.
pipes are and your faucet and blah, blah, blah. We do have an article at StressLess Camping about a freshwater tank sanitizer, so if that's something you want to take advantage of, we do have a story about
Right.
doing
and
so.
we keep our fresh tank sanitized so that I don't have to like wonder where my water's going to come from. It's just going to come out of the tap.
I know where my water comes from, whatever they used at the brewery to make the
Right.
beer.
Yeah. The water with hops
Yeah.
in it.
All right. Well, we have a question that we pose every week at our fun and friendly Stressless Camping Facebook group.
StressLess Campers Facebook group.
Yeah, that's true. Last week, we asked, how is your confidence in fixing your RV stuff?
Yeah, I worded it RV tech, and then I realized someone answered us specifically about like technology. And what we really meant is, do you hire an RV tech, which could be, screwing in a light bulb. They do all the things, not just technology kind of stuff. So thank you for those who boosted your confidence with YouTube, told us how confident or not confident you are. We, of course, are just confident enough to do half a job, mess it up, and then panic and call someone to help us.
Last week we spoke with Heath from RV Help, and by coincidence, the next day I called RV Help to help me fix a plumbing problem that I caused.
Yeah, we learned from Heath just in time, because between the time we spoke to him and the time you all heard the interview, we had to call a tech.
But anyway, it was a good experience. So we're even more fans of RV Help that we spoke with Heath about last week. If you didn't hear that, you can go back, and that podcast is available at StressLessCamping.com. But this week's question...
This week is, we want to know, where have you visited where the beauty was breathtaking, just gorgeous, beautiful, absolute, what sticks in your mind as like the best scenery you've ever seen? Of course, I want you to share pictures. Of course, what's freshest in our mind is southern Utah, where we drove through yesterday.
Yep.
But we have been to some incredibly beautiful places in the United States, and I only add a picture of Utah because that's, like I said, that's where we just were. That was the easiest picture to find, and our most recent breathtaking memory. But I'd like to see yours.
Yeah, because we need suggestions on where to go.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, you can answer that. Show us the pictures at our Fun and Friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group.
Right. And while you are looking there, don't forget that we also do a once-a-week newsletter, which is completely free. We never share your information or spam you. It's basically once a week, and we give you the stories and podcasts and news that we think is worth sharing.
And sometimes some stuff we don't talk about, so you want to read it so that you get that information.
And sometimes there are contests.
Yeah. So visit the website, and you can sign up on any page of the website. And once a week, that's what we do, because we're not going to spam you, and we're not going to, we don't give that information to anyone else. You're not going to get a newsletter from anybody else because of signing up for us.
Absolutely not. And you can find the show notes for this episode number 311, on the podcast page at StressLessCamping.com.
And also on StressLessCamping.com, you can find our favorite RV products and services page, where we tell you about our favorite products and services you never would have guessed.
Yeah, sometimes there's a discount.
Yep, sometimes some discounts.
Of course, we are in all the social places, but you can start at StressLessCamping.com, and from there, jump off and help us waste our time while you're wasting yours.
For audio listeners, if you don't want to miss a future episode of the Stressless Camping Podcast,
it's free!
It's free to subscribe on any podcast page, on any podcast app, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Right, and you can do a review on that podcast app, which we sincerely appreciate, and what that does is it tells that app, hey, people are actually listening to this. So maybe we should refer it to more people, and more people means better guests.
Yeah.
If you are on YouTube, of course, the usual like, share.
Wait. Pause a moment. Find that like button. Press it. Okay, thanks. There's also a share button. It takes maybe 2 steps, so you might want to pause, find the share button, and then it'll say copy the link, and there's a button right there that says share this to Facebook. We can wait while you do that. Thanks.
And now back to us. Hey, did you read something you liked on our website? You know, it's free and easy to share that too. Basically, any article or even those groups of content, all of that, share that to social media. We try to create answers to questions we see a lot. So if you're on social media and you're like, ooh, I know StressLess Camping has an answer to that, you can share that. Makes you look super smart.
Yeah. And if you're on Facebook or any social media and you see a post of ours, it's super easy. You just hit the share button and then all your friends get to see it too.
Man.
It couldn't
Look
be
at
any
us
easier
go.
than that.
Well, with that, we really appreciate you sitting through this. You're being with us again this week. We really wish we were outside because it's super pretty here. But
We'll put
it's
some
also
pictures.
windy. Yeah. Oh well. Thank you again for being here with us once again for episode 311. We hope you are planning some epic summer adventures because you know what that is?
StressLess Camping.